JBNN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones. Hi guys. Before we go into the news, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and to share the news with someone today. Now on to the news. Ex-boyfriend suspected of killing 16-year-old in police custody. A male who is said to be the ex-boyfriend of 16-year-old Tara Elisa Dennis, who was shot dead on Saturday in Little London, Westmoreland, is now in police custody. Anthony Spliffy McNeil, who is in his early 30s, was named as the prime suspect in the killing. He surrendered himself to the police on Sunday. Commanding officer for the Area 1 Police, Assistant Commissioner Clifford Chambers, says Dennis's ex-boyfriend has been on the police's radar and is a no-lottery scammer.
She had a relationship with her neighbor, a young man by the name of Jerome McNeil. The information provided is that that relationship came to an end some time ago, but he apparently wasn't having it. She had since moved on in another relationship with someone else, but I think given the proximity of both she and him, it continued to create some problem because they're in fact neighbors. And this young man, McNeil, is a known criminal. He has a firearm. We have done several policing operations, but we're unsuccessful in recovering such firearm. And he's also known to be a lottery scammer.
Dennis and the male companion, 38-year-old Darren Stewart, were allegedly attacked by McNeil while they were engaging in conversation on Dennis's veranda. Both Dennis and Stewart suffered gunshot wounds and were transported to hospital, where Dennis was pronounced dead and Stewart admitted for treatment. Stewart, who was released from hospital, has since been named by the police as a person of interest in activities in the corporate area. According to the police, Stewart had been cooling out in Westmoreland. Chambers said that he was disappointed when he learned that the hospital released Stewart without contacting police.
We have an arrangement that if a person goes to the hospital with a gunshot injury, before he's discharged, the police officers at least should be contacted. So here we have the boyfriend injured, treated, and released. And now we got the information that he might have been a person of interest in crimes that might have been committed in the corporate area. So we really have to tighten up on this aspect of how, some institutions, do their thing. We know that they're overwhelmed, yes, but this man could possibly be, a wanted person in another jurisdiction. So this is not being looked at.
He's appealing to Stewart to turn himself in for questioning. ACP Chambers says Dennis was a troubled teen who benefited from state intervention.
Akita was a troubled child, probably based on socialization. She was kicked out of school a few times, and with the school resource officer construct and with the community outreach program in that particular space of Top Lincoln, Little London, the officers got involved and tried to intervene with regards to her behavioral issues. And I think that's part and parcel that led to she being exposed to some training that would facilitate her being able to be self-employed. Now, there's a thin line between her age and being able to employ. I take it that she is over 16, so there might be some allowance there. I'm not too keen on the legislative arrangement there. But from all indication, she has been trained and should be taking up employment.
Meanwhile, Chambers said he's happy that the case is coming to a close. I'm happy that this matter is brought to a closure quickly, but again speaks to the issue of young men not able to control their emotions and being in possession of illegal guns, he chided. Lack of employment contributing to crime in Westmoreland, says Costas. Costas of Westmoreland, Reverend Hartley Perrin, has expressed disappointment that violence has again erupted in the parish, leaving several dead and wounded. On Saturday, 4 people were shot, 2 fatally, including a 16-year-old girl. Late last month, 7 people were shot, 3 fatally. Reverend Perrin says the lull in the sporadic outbreaks of violence had been welcomed.
For a number of weeks, we were feeling very proud that we were, not having any moments for concern in terms of shootings and killing. But last week, we saw a return to where we were in terms of, multiple shooting and so on. I was at a function last night and somebody was making a point that I've always been making, that the demise of the sugar industry in the parish of Westmoreland, that, the sugar industry brought in millions of dollars on a fortnightly basis, and that came to an end. And we have not yet been able as a parish to find something else to replace that vacuum that has been created. Westmoreland was a PNP area for many years, many years. Everybody knew that Westmoreland was painting. Then Westmoreland became disillusioned with just the little that we were receiving from the politicians during that time. So Westmoreland switched and became a green parish. And for the number of years, Westmoreland has not seen the sort of improvement that they were expecting. If you observe, Westmoreland has gone back to try again. Mm-hmm. So there is something, Westmoreland is sending a signal that the political process needs to step up, because in both times there is disappointment and disillusionment.
Brother and sister charged after attempted goat theft in St. Mary. A brother and sister accused of attempting to steal several goats in Sunside District in St. Mary on Tuesday, February 27, have been charged. The siblings have been identified as 41-year-old Quayman Adams of Bottom Settlement, Sunside, and his sister, 44-year-old Kedella Adams, a farmer of Albion District, also in the parish. They have been charged with larceny of cattle, possession of prohibited weapon, unauthorized possession of ammunition, using a firearm to commit a felony, and assault on common law. Reports from Port Maria Police are that about 7:10 p.m., a man was approaching his house when he saw an unknown vehicle parked within the vicinity to where he had left his goats earlier. He approached the vehicle and saw Quayman, along with two other men, removing the goats from where he tied them. The man reportedly called out to them, and one of the thieves pulled a gun and pointed it at the goat's owner. The owner, in fear of his life, pulled his firearm and opened gunfire in their direction. While being accosted, Quayman reportedly ran into the car while his accomplices escaped in nearby bushes. The occupants of the car were subsequently ordered from the vehicle and the siblings exited. A search was conducted, during which an imitation firearm was found in Kedella's handbag. The police were summoned, the scene processed, and the duo taken into custody. Their accomplices are still at large. The brother and sister were charged on Friday, February 29 and March 1 respectively, police said. They are scheduled to appear in the Port Maria Parish Court on Thursday, March 7. Lawyer seeks noncustodial sentence for convicted killer of reggae girl Tarania Clark, Courtney Rowe, attorney at law representing Rochelle Foster, the woman found guilty of manslaughter for the 2019 stabbing death of reggae girls midfielder Tarania Plum Plum Clark, wants his client to receive a non-custodial sentence in the matter. The 23-year-old national footballer was also the captain of the Waterhouse Football Club's women's team, was stabbed with a knife during a dispute over a cell phone in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew, on October 31, 2019. Foster was originally scheduled for sentencing last Thursday at the Home Circuit Court, but given references and suggestions from Rowe that a non-custodial sentence be levied, Justice Leighton Pusey delayed the sentencing until March 15. I'm asking that in your deliberation of the sentence, that you look to the lower end of the spectrum and start certainly at a lower range and a lower starting point. When you look at the social inquiry report, it indicates that she was brought up in a nuclear family. She had good upbringings, Rose said, of which the judge interrupted by saying, I've read the report. The report indicated, and I'd like you to take into great consideration, that she recognized the impact and consequences of the offense. Ms. Foster does not want to be considered a contact with negative peers or criminal associates. Ms. Foster is stated as being literate, employed, and skills trained. I ask that you find that she is someone that can be and is said to be considered someone possible for rehabilitation, he said. Rose said that the foreman, who stood on behalf of the judges of the facts, indicated that the jury did not find that Foster had an intention to kill Clark, thus his request for her to get the least possible sentencing. If the offense of manslaughter, which I'm saying is guideline references as voluntary manslaughter, the starting point is 5 years. I ask that your lordship, in considering a sentence, start with a lower range, given that the verdict is really that of involuntary manslaughter, based on the utterance of the foreman on behalf of the jury, he said. Rowe then continued with his arguments in favor of rehabilitation for the offender. I also ask that in seeking to promote retribution, deterrence, prevention, and rehabilitation, your lordship gives credence to the words of Justice of Appeal MacDonald Bishop, where she emphasized the need for the sentencing judge to keep in the mind the objective of sentencing against the background of the nature of the seriousness of the offense, the circumstances surrounding its commission, and the personal circumstances of the offender, Rose said. Miss Rochelle Foster was tried before the court for the offense of murder. She was found not guilty of murder, but instead of manslaughter. I am confident that your lordship, in pronouncing the sentence, will give thought to the sentencing guidelines of judges of the Supreme Court and the Parish Court, he said. He said the starting point, based on the guidelines, is usually 5 years. When Rowe questioned the judge as to why there should be a delay, given that Thursday was the scheduled date for the sentencing, Pusey said, "Mr. Rowe, you mentioned law. You had particulars you referred to. You would not expect me not to have considered them seriously. And it means if I consider them seriously, I'll take some time to consider them." Prior to the discussion, Rowe called in a witness, paralegal clerk Maureen Jonas Lynch, a little over a minute from the start of the proceedings, and before he started his plea, of which the judge agreed to hear for 6 minutes, but only 4 minutes were used, Lynch testified that she knows Foster from she was born. "I don't have any challenge with her, and she growing up in our community. We have never had any challenge, violence or any bad," Lynch said. She noted that she was aware of the offense Foster had been found guilty of when she heard about the conviction. It was really a sad occasion for the family. Nobody in the family has ever had this challenge. It was really sad. She's not a bad person. It's just an unfortunate situation happened, Lynch said. She asked the court to have some leniency on her, seeing that she's not a violent person. Following her testimony, Foster was asked to stand in the prisoner's dock, where it was reiterated to her that she was found guilty on January 18, and she was asked if she had anything to say, of which she indicated to decline. Prior to standing and during the proceedings, the young woman repeatedly shook her left leg while wearing a mask, fashionable tiger print glasses, white blouse, blue jeans and burgundy scarf, and a single-parted creamed hairstyle caught in a ponytail. The social inquiry report on Foster, dated February 26, 2024, forms part of the records and purposes of sentencing. Also, the antecedent report of Foster, which confirms that she has no previous conviction, done on January 8, 2024. Bunting alarmed about implications for Jamaica arising from worsening security situation in Haiti. Concern has been raised about the implication for Jamaica's security in light of a worsening crime situation in neighboring Haiti. It follows reports that armed gangs recently stormed the main prison in Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, releasing many inmates. According to journalists in Haiti, the vast majority of about 4,000 men held there have now escaped. Opposition spokesman on national security here in Jamaica, Senator Peter Bunting, says particular attention must be paid to this development.
As the security situation in Haiti deteriorates, it must be of great concern to Jamaicans that vector for guns, drugs, human trafficking, etc., will become more active as the Haitian state becomes less capable. I'm only hopeful that some of the initiatives to bring order in Haiti can be executed quickly, and Jamaica, I understand, has made a substantial contribution, although we are yet to hear the full details from the government. Ideally, you'd want to have a Coast Guard that was capable of closing our borders effectively. But in reality, I think what we need to do is invest more in terms of onshore intelligence resources, confidential informants, etc., so that we don't have to worry about intercepting boats in the 100,000 square mile EEZ, but instead we get intelligence on their routes and their planned landings, and that's where we can more effectively intercept them.
Committal hearing was scheduled for accused in Salt Spring triple killing. Travis Cummings, the man charged with the November 2023 murders of 2 Chetwood Memorial Primary School students and a man in Salt Spring, St. James, is to have a committal hearing in the St. James Parish Court on March 7. Cummings, a child of Barrytown and Flower Hill addresses in the parish, was remanded and given the new court date by presiding parish judge Sasha Mary Ashley on Friday. Cummings was being identified as a former member of the Ski Mask gang, is charged with murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, and using a firearm to commit a felony in relation to the triple killing, which claimed the lives of 7-year-old Justin Perry, 9-year-old Nakoli V. Smith, and 26-year-old Tevin Hale. The matter had been set for a committal hearing on Friday to determine whether Cummings' case will be tried in the St. James Circuit Court. However, the hearing could not proceed as his attorney, Adrian Days, was engaged in another court. The victims were killed on November 6, and the taxi in which they were traveling was shot up along the Flower Hill Main Road in Salt Spring. Cummings was charged on November 25, 2023 with the murders after he was positively identified in an ID parade. In addition to the charges stemming from the triple murder, Tommings is also charged with murder, burglary, wounding with intent, possession of a prohibited weapon, and using a firearm to commit a felony in relation to the shooting death of 47-year-old Anthony Forbes, otherwise called Platop, of Flower Hill, Salt Spring, on October 27, 2023. In that incident, Tommings and his accomplices reportedly broke into Forbes' house and opened gunfire at him before escaping. Forbes was transported to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.